and welcome to Wise Women Weekdays. I'm Lucinda Wild, and today I'm joined by an inspirational young man. I find him incredibly inspirational, Spencer.
Yeah, hi.
Spencer has been on a fantastic journey from a dark place to the light. And
I'm Daniele de Winter. Hi.
So, Spencer, tell us all. What's happened?
Okay, well, we'll start. 4 years ago, I was heavily into drinking. I was drinking every day, very secretly and very intensely, and it's just kind of been a journey of healing from that place. I mean, to be honest, that's not where the journey starts. You know, the journey starts in childhood. It starts in development. It started a long time ago, and realistically, I don't actually hold my drinking against myself.
Yeah.
I know I did it to cope and to survive, to get through what I needed to, and I do believe that if I didn't have alcohol, I don't know if I would have been here today.
Russell Brand actually says that, and I agree with what he says. Addiction, whatever shape it forms, kept us alive long enough to be able to heal.
Because I needed a friend, and there wasn't really any friends to me. I was... my parents, they had so many things going on between them, they couldn't be there for themselves. My sisters were also trying to take care of themselves. They were younger, so it's not like I could have necessarily relied on them. I was bullied at school, and the friends I did have turned on me. So, it was...
Tough.
Yeah, it was tough, and it was quiet, and, drinking at least made me feel safe and secure and grounded. And, yes, that didn't last long, and I think we get stuck in a cycle of trying to chase the first high you do, and it carries on for a long time. And I do believe that a lot of my alcoholism was me really running away from the hangover and the paranoia and the anxiety, because it builds up, it doesn't go away.
No,
it stagnates, it
yes.
ferments in a bad way, and it comes back with vengeance afterwards, and I knew that. And it took me a long time to quit, and then when I did quit, I'd say 6 or 7 years in of being constantly drunk. I wasn't a waste of space drunk. You wouldn't find me on the streets. I was a very high functioning. I was chefing, and I would be climbing up ranks and finding myself in proper positions, taking responsibilities, doing all these things whilst very quietly drinking a lot in the background.
So how did you manage to stop? And what made you decide to stop?
It was make or break. Like, the madness was creeping up from the corners. I was very aware of it. I couldn't hide from it anymore. Like, my vision was getting to the point where it was so blurry that I was struggling to see people. There was not exactly voices talking to me, but thoughts and voices and words just flying around my head so much that it just got so soupy that I couldn't cope anymore. I knew that I had to
do something.
I had to end that.
I remember seeing you while you were going through that, and your face was different. You had that bloated, puffy, alcoholic look.
Yeah.
And you didn't look like a vibrant young man like you do now.
Yeah.
But there's more to it than that. You were also experiencing symptoms of depression and anxiety.
I mean, constantly. Like, shame. It's complicated because addiction doesn't just come with escapism. It comes with more. You come with the secrecy and the shame of it's not good for you. You're doing it, and every person you look at, you're thinking, do they know I'm doing this? Do they know that I'm doing this in the back? Can they smell my breath? Can they see it on my eyes? Did I say what I was supposed to say? Did I slur my words? Do I know what's going on? It comes with its own extra just
what you just
layers
said
and layers
was
and
what
layers.
I observed in you. Sorry to talk over you.
No,
but that is exactly what I observed, was someone who was trying to keep something secret, hold something together. And I remember actually on your 21st birthday, everyone was trying to minimise the amount that they were drinking. Well, you and I were. And I was shit-faced when we went home, and you were really drunk in the restaurant.
I don't
So
remember,
you
to be honest. And it's difficult, and but it became make or break. As I said, I reached a point where I was starting to vomit blood after about 8 years.
Which shows your liver is under massive pressure.
Yeah, and I was quite good. I still took care of my diet. I still ate very healthily. I made sure I drank lots of water, and as I said, I was very high functioning. Like, I was still very aware of what I was doing to myself. I was still exercising. I would cycle miles to work every day, there and back. But it just, I was reaching breaking point, and I just could tell the system had enough. I'd had enough, and so I stopped, and I had periods of stopping and starting again. You know, I'd stop, cold turkey, go through days of paranoia, hallucinations, and anxiety through the roof. Like I'd be closing my eyes trying to sleep, and I can't even talk about it. But it's just so like unnatural when I was coming off it. Like everything was just so like sharp and digital, and there was just no nature left in my existence. It was not there anymore. I mean, I was, but you know. So yeah, quit a few times and slowly increased those times. You know, it wasn't easy then, because I thought if I quit that everyone would accept me again, everyone would come to me and embrace me with open arms, but you know, it didn't happen. You know, it was kind of heartbreaking, but each time my heart breaks, you know, I just pick myself up, and you know, there's always learning in each opportunity, even if it feels like everything's doom and gloom. It just offers you another opportunity to be there for yourself as you want others to be there for you. Yeah. So as much as this has been a very dark journey, it's been a very strong dark journey of me really learning, are we capable of healing ourselves? Are we capable of picking ourselves up? Do we need all these extra medications and services and helps? And you know, what happens if you've got kids who've got nobody, they've got no family, they've got no friends? Who can they turn to? Can they, you know, heal themselves from within using their own inner nature? You know, there is a part of us, I believe, which is like a small oasis which we need to cultivate. There is a softness, there is a nourishing part of us which we can call upon, which brings me into the tinctures that I made to
before we do
support
that,
me.
could you tell me about, because I'm really interested in the tinctures, but I want to go really deep on them, but there's just one thing before we do that. What was your experience of the doctors, the mainstream medics, and the medicines that they prescribed?
Personally,
did you go to the doctors when you felt you wanted to give up alcohol?
do you know, I tried, and every time I turned up, I was blackout drunk. I had the anxiety of trying to quit, and the feeling of like I was a problem and that I was something to be solved made me go into overload so much that I felt like people were trying to cut parts of me off. You know, I wasn't being gently and kindly and lovingly weaned and taken care of and understood. It was like, you're a problem, you need to go here and you need to do this and you need to do that. And
so is this actually what some professionals told you?
It's just the energy. I told you I was blackout drunk. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I don't remember telling you. I remember coming away with leaflets saying about certain, you know, detox programs and stuff, but I don't remember the conversations. I haven't really ever gone to doctors too much. I've never really felt understood properly. I think that's part of it. You know, I think I don't fit into most categories, and I think it's been a very complicated case that I've had to kind of solve myself.
I think that's so brilliant that you say that, because often we're brought up to think that other people will take care of us, but in reality, most people are fighting their own demons. Most people are struggling with something. Yeah. And so if, like you've actually done, we look inside and find our own oasis and then work out what to do ourselves, there's always a fabulous chance to completely heal. Yeah, and you understand how you got there and why you got there, and then what we can do is we can take that and offer it to other people. And I do feel that my anxiety and my vigilance have stopped me from being able to connect with people so much, because as you said, I can see what other people haven't resolved, and I don't believe my inner child feels safe around unresolved people. It just doesn't feel receptive, and that's not to say that, you know, I've been through many healers, and it's not to say that any of them weren't any good, but my inner child has just gone, you know, I can't trust you, I don't see this, and, you know, it's just difficult, because it does feel like you're operating from many different places. You know, there's the child, there's the mind, there's me, there's the body, there's the nervous system, you know, there's the trauma, there's all of it, and it's just an awful lot.
Were you offered antidepressants?
They gave me sertraline, which I think is an antidepressant.
Yes, it is. It's an SSRI.
But I found that was similar to like taking speed or something, and that was really uncomfortable. I just felt hot, sweaty, and the kind of like I have like this white flashiness that lives in my eyes, and it was intensifying that, and I just felt like more and more I was disconnecting from nature. I wasn't going in the direction I wanted to go, and as I was already, I feel pretty at my limit most of the time, that was just too much, and those did not feel nourishing at all, which I think is the very important step. Is things should feel nourishing, it should feel healing. It's not, you know, get used to it or it might work, or we'll give you some of this.
In a weird way, you were probably very lucky,
Yeah.
Because if they'd made you feel really great,
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't try opioids. I don't know how that would have gone. You know, I've been down many roads of substances, addictions, uppers, downers, sideways, you know, all sorts. You know, I pretty much did everything until it was boring because I didn't want to be anywhere but myself, and I never really did opioids. But I'm glad, because that may have been too good in a way, and yet another thing to come off.
I'm glad you didn't, because I have.
Yeah.
And you don't want to come off them, because they really do what they say they'll do. They block everything out, and they allow you to be in another dimension. I mean, my experience of using heroin, I've only done it once, but it really did what it said on the tin.
Yeah.
My bedroom upstairs wasn't my bedroom. I was in the Taj Mahal.
Wow.
I was surrounded by jasmine flowers, and I was seeing friends that have passed on through heroin use. And because of that experience, I will never do it again.
Yeah.
It was too good. Don't do it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm not bigging it up. But
No,
it was,
I understand. Yeah. It's yeah, I get you. Yeah, I do.
So what did you do
yeah, what did you do?
In regards to
Stopping-
to healing yourself?
I think at the end of the day, everyone has the innate capacity to understand. You know, we know what we're going through, and I think the first step for anyone healing is to start to reduce stress, start to reduce the amount of overwhelm you're going through. And I was in a very overwhelming job. I was chefing, I was drinking, all that stuff. You know, I was running myself ragged, and the first thing I had to do was start to remove that levels of responsibility and stress. And I think it's difficult because it depends on who you are and what you are. You can't really set rules for healing. You really just have to kind of wing it and roll with the punches, because I know that my sense of self-value, self-worth didn't allow me to want to take less hours, didn't allow me to want to rest, to sit still, to stop moving, to stop going and going and going. And even when I did try and meditate and yoga and do all of these healthy things, my mind is just constantly telling me, we need to go, we need to be moving, we need to be doing this. And so just a bit of trial and error, understanding and it's not fun, you know, it's not enjoyable, it's a bit scary, it's a bit confusing, it's strange at times, you know. I think, I don't know about anyone else, but my existence has been pretty scary, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel that people as a whole seem to be more on that vibe now more than we've ever been, and I think things are getting a bit confusing.
Explain the vibe that you think people are on now.
I think there's a lot of anxious energy around. There seems to be a lot of like tight, anxious energy. There's a lot of like shifty, not in a bad way, just a lot of, just seems to be people on danger watch, perhaps. I feel that, I think because we are social beings, and because that we have mirror neurons in our brain, and we resonate with each other, I think as a community we're on quite a high vibe at the moment, and not necessarily in a good way, because anxiety can be excitement or fear. It's the same thing, and I think at the moment we're on quite high vibe, and it's quite intense. And I think it's really important to find things that allow you to calm down and to relax and find some form of regeneration and safety, because I think as a people we think it's more and more we need to do, we need to solve it, we need to fix it, we need to keep going, but it's actually sitting with it and letting it kind of relax. You know, I think we're in trouble because we've got so much escapism, technology, phones, quick access to stuff, and I think we're all getting a bit scared because we're realising they're not the way forward, and we don't really know where to go. You know, I think everyone's in the place of trying to make themselves feel better, but I think we're doing it through very bad habits. You know, whether it be, you know, you call addiction anything, whether it be coffee and drugs or TV or phones, you know, I think it's just all forms of escapism.
Check.
You know, but you this is the scary part, is because I think everyone knows secretly that it's not working.
Yeah.
I think we do, and I don't think we're idiots, you know. I think we really know it's not working, and that's scary. That's the scary part, and you're like, I'm running into a dead end, and I know I'm going, but I don't know where else to go.
And also so many people are running into the same dead end, because ever since lockdown, the number of people on antidepressants has gone through the roof. The number of people who are drinking alcohol, or let's say the amount of alcohol sold, keeps increasing.
Yes. Yeah.
And we're all on our mobile phones for hours and hours and hours a day. And, you know, research does say that does absolutely long-term increase your anxiety as well. So even though we're doing all this stuff to feel better, long-term it's not helping.
No, because we're adding more. We're adding layers again, and the same with medications, and the same with alcohols. We're adding layers. We're postponing.
Yes,
Exactly. We're postponing the inevitable. And I think it was Alan Watts that said you can take as many detours as you want, but you'll have to get there eventually. And it is, you know, when we hide in the phone, increases anxiety because you know the demon's still in the corner and he's not gone anywhere, and you just think if I hide in here he'll maybe go away, but you still have to face it, you know. And the positive is on the other side of the negative. If the negative is telling you that you're not worth this, or I'm afraid of that, or I'm this, you've got to go and find out. As much as it might be difficult, as much as it might be scary, as much as you might not want to face it, and as much as it might feel impending, do what you can to face what you can. And once we start to see the progress, that's when belief and bravery starts to come in. You know, it takes a long time, and for me it's nowhere near going as fast as it would like to be. I'd love to be more developed than I am, you know.
Oh, you've made pretty good progress.
Yeah.
Spencer, you blow me away. I'm sitting here feeling in awe of you. It makes me a bit tearful. I'm not crying on camera.
No. Thank you.
I'm way too hard for that.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So how old are you now?
28.
28.
Yes.
So your life is really only beginning.
I hope so. You know, it's been difficult. You know, it's been I think I'm doing it backwards in a way. You know, I'm going through, because I think what's really happened is we have generational trauma, and that is a serious deal.
Yes.
It's basically, it collects and collects and collects, and if it's unresolved, it gets passed on and passed on. I think what's happened with me is I've reached a point where I've collected so much, my nervous system has said, no, we can't pass this on anymore. This has to be done now. We need, because I feel, as I said earlier, I feel my cup is full. I feel empty yet full at the same time. I think my cup is so full that my system is overloaded, and which I go into disassociation and freeze response. So I numb out and I can't feel because you've got too much going on. So I think there was no way for me not to heal. You know, people say, well, you're doing this young, that's amazing. I go, it was this, or I'm not playing anymore. You know, it really was. Like, I rang my mum up and I said, I can't do this. I said, you've got to put me on some potato pills or take me out, because I
Potato pills?
just, you know, like any, like opioids or anything, just really, like, put me in a state of, like, turn me off, because it was just too much. You know, like, the natural paranoia and anxiety and the constant projection into the future in that fearful state, and the stickiness of the past, everything was just meshing into this one kind of chaos.
So can I ask, while you were in that really, really fearful state, sorry if it's a personal question.
No, please.
Were you earning enough money to feel okay? Like you had a place to sleep, you had a safe home, you weren't worried to be on the street?
Yeah, I mean, I've always taken care of that. I was always very high functioning. I've always been self-sufficient and very, you know, yes, in a way. Did I feel like it was a good balance? Absolutely not. Chefing tears you apart. You know,
it's very high performance, isn't it?
For minimum wage, basically. A lot of the time, you know, like you can step up from a commie to a sous chef, and they'll give you like a couple of quid, and you're managing 5 or 6 people. You're now responsible for this, and this, and you're already working 10 to 12 hours a day. You know, 5 to 6 days a week. So, you know, no, it wasn't a good balance. Yes, I was secure.
So what were you scared of?
I don't know. I've been in a perpetual state of fear for a long time, and it's hard to pinpoint what I would have been afraid of. And funny enough, I think I know, but I haven't got there yet, because you can't be afraid of nothing. Every fear is known. We think we fear the unknown, but every fear is known, because otherwise you wouldn't know to be afraid of it. So the answer is somewhere within us at all times, and I think if people would stop, and myself, if we stop and look internally and really stick with it until we find an answer, we will find an answer, and then we can process that and kind of get through it.
So, what did you do?
What did I do?
Did it involve these?
To begin with, no, but yes. So to begin with, you know, persevering and keeping going, and keeping a positive ball rolling, not going and finding, you know, I've spent a lot of time to myself. You know, I only have 2 or 3 people who I could call friends that I could go and see, and I don't see. But you spend a lot of time alone, and you cultivate good habits. You try good things. You keep practicing. You keep learning, and eventually, it's like you've got this kind of like ball of yarn that's all tied together, and you just keep pulling and you just keep trying, and eventually things start to shift a little bit here, a little bit there, and the more you get a bit of movement, you can get the ball rolling, and you start to believe. And I believe belief is the start of the energetical movement that creates action and creates the whole concept of you changing, because we are physical and energetical beings in one. Because otherwise, where's the trauma stored if it's not stored in energy? You know, where are all these things stored? I think there's multiple layers to undo.
They say where attention goes, energy flows.
Yes, exactly. And I've always had an extremely positive mindset. Even when I was in my darkest times, it was never to my own detriment, it was to my own survival. You know, even when I was drinking, when I was drugging, it was always me just trying to find a way to feel normal and love myself and find the best for myself.
So what are all these little bottles then? And
Yes.
how do they work?
So these are my amanita tinctures. So after I stopped chefing, I moved to the woods, and I've been keeping and spending some time off grid where I can. And these mushrooms actually started growing around me, and I researched them, and they turned out to be good for complex PTSD, which is essentially what I have.
love that.
Yeah, which
So
is
they chose
I
to
have
grow around you.
complex.
yeah. I you know, obviously, you know, the rational part of me says, oh, it was just chance. The other part of me wants to believe it was sent as a magical gift, you know. So each take it as their own, you know. But I started using them for my complex PTSD, which is essentially just long-term trauma, usually emotional trauma that goes on for a long period of time during childhood development. So as the nervous system is growing and the child's developing, it's in a state of fear or turmoil, and the system learns to resonate at that level. So mine wasn't specifically bad. There was no physical violence, no sexual stuff. There was no what felt like direct malicious, but the constant state of the energy going on between my parents was a constant state of anger and unease and uncertainty and scarcity, which constantly made my nervous system feel like it was in danger. So it's learned over the years that it was developing that it's just stayed in fear mode, it's just stayed in vigilance. And I've tried all sorts of medicines, like kind of more gentle ones that you can get in health food shops, and I just never really found anything really hit anything on the head.
So what did you try?
Well, I've tried the amanita. Oh, what did I try apart from that? So I tried different types of mushrooms, lion's manes. I tried a multitude of different mushrooms. I tried 5-HTPs. I've tried ashwagandha. I tried I don't know, a multitude of herbal remedies. Anything I could get my hands on, I tried. I was doing cold showers, yoga, exercise, running. I was getting ready to leave and move to an ashram in India. You know, I was honestly doing anything that was possible to heal myself. And actually, the amanita is the only thing that seems to have done any consistent work.
So how does that work?
That's a bit of a complicated question. Amanita has a lot of different properties. So to begin with, it was more experimenting, but as I've managed to refine it, I found that different blends work better for different people in different states. So Amanita has two components. One is ibotenic acid and one is muscimol. And ibotenic acid is a stimulant, muscimol is a sedative, and depending on where you're at is depending on what I would offer it for. So I found that for my disassociation, I prefer to take a high volume of muscimol because I feel that gives me the most sensation and the most connectivity back to my body and makes me feel more grounded and more like I have corporeal form rather than feeling very wispy and anxious all the time.
Is that the one you just gave me to bring me down from the anxiety that I was experiencing?
Yes. So I feel, you know, anxiety is an energy which brings us up and brings us out and makes us very nervous. And I think that when we have more sensation in the body, even if we are anxious, we feel a bit more like it's enclosed and a bit more like we're safe. And
Your feet are on the ground.
Yeah. Even if I'm nervous, I know where I am. I know what's going on. I think it gives you more of a feeling of I can handle this, and that's really what it's done. So Amanita has taken away that edge that I would feel that I would need a drink. You know, I don't know if you ever feel it, but you're in a social situation or you're at home and it just feels like it's just not quite here. You know, it's not. Yeah. This isn't it. This just isn't quite it. There must be a little bit more. Maybe I need a little something. And you know, I don't understand how we've. Well, I do understand kind of how we've got to this place, but you know, you don't see animals running around needing this and needing that. Otherwise, the entire nature would be in a state of, you know, empty anxiety. I feel that as a system, existence should be satisfying, or if not pleasurable, neutral. You know, yes. I used to think it was about finding the happiness, but I don't think it is. I think happiness is a bonus. I think it's just about not feeling like this isn't it. Is the best way I can describe it. You know, I've found myself more recently existing in more neutral states, and I'm a bit more content with that. I don't need to go and find the highs to combat the lows that I currently feel, and I think maybe that's it. We feel like because we're down here, we need to find what's up here, but here is actually just as good.
Mm.
You know, as a baseline, I feel as a baseline we should be able to feel complete.
Is what you're trying to say is find a balance and be in homeostasis where we're not having highs and lows.
Yeah, but they come and they go, you know, but we're in more of a baseline of just existing in a state, where we're not chasing consuming highs or whatever, you know, we can just exist naturally.
And would you say that gives you a feeling of like freedom and, in a way, a little bit more relaxation, knowing that you're the one who brought yourself there? You didn't need an outside therapist or a doctor to help you get there.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, it's complicated because yes, in a way I do, and only more recently am I finding I have more punch and more belief behind my words and actions, because it's been very difficult coming from a place of anxiety, because I believe it robs us of our creativity, our passion, our energy, and I feel a lot of the time like I'm speaking from an empty room within myself. I don't feel like my faculties and my energies, I don't feel like they all exist powerfully within me. But to circle back to your point, I was always looking for what I wanted to be in someone else. You know, I was always looking for, in someone's eyes, seeing, have you made it? Is it going to be okay? You know, because it feels like I'm tunneling in the dark underground, and I don't know if I'm going to get out. I don't know if I'm going to make it, and I really would like to meet someone that's made it. And, you know, that's dissipating more and more as of late, but I think it's both. You know, I think we need to find it in ourselves, but I think at the same time it's important we have that progression. I think we need to see who's in front of us, we need to see who's behind us, so we can see where we've come from, so we can see where we are, we can see where we're going, when we can see the other people. You know, so I think it's a mixture of both. I don't think we just need to be...
So for you, what would a person who's made it, what would they look like?
They would have a light and passion behind their eyes that says yes. I don't think it needs to really say any more than that.
A light and passion that says yes.
Yeah, a knowing. There's just a knowing behind the eyes, and I haven't met many of us are there. Now, I don't know if that's because we're not there or because the energy's quite anxious at the moment. I'm not sure, but I do know that I feel that that's missing. You know, the safety, we've had the generational trauma, but where's the generational knowledge and wisdom and learning that should be passed down? You know, where's the strength of the grandparents that should be with the next generation, and we keep taking each other's places, you know, because I think that's very important. Because otherwise, as you say, I can't really like measure my progress because I'm not got really anything to value it to. It's been a curve which I can't really. It's been such a subtle curve that I can't really notice. A bit more now, you know, a little bit more, I admit. But up until recently, I still feel like I'm just the same sod who hasn't really done anything. Not literally, but it's a feeling, you know.
It helps to have the wise old granddad who says, "Spence, you've come so far. Well done."
Yeah, and it's not just lip service. It is, you can feel their energy saying, "Well done," and the magic and the power comes through. And that's what I talk about. I think anxiety robs us of that depth of voice, and the voice is our magic. And I think that draws upon feeling as that being like the magic and the mana that we can summon to bring back the energy and the depth of our experience. Because I think we're currently living quite a shallow shell of what we could be having. You know, I watch a lot of sci-fi and animated stuff, and it has so much magic and emotion and depth, and I'm going, we're making this stuff so we know it exists, but where is it in everyday life? You know, where's the spine tingles and the you know, the excitement and the...
For me, that's a huge point, a very relevant point, because the AI or the technological world that's being created for all of us every day is, in a way, almost, from my point of view, too great to be mimicked in everyday life. So it's easy for people to just get hooked on the instant, you know, reward and the instant fun and success you get from games or movies or anything that you do on screen. And even though if you live in nature with fabulous dogs, with, you know, lovely people, the joy is way more intense because it's real. I do observe so many kids and teenagers that are addicted to their phones, and they don't stop to see the you know, cherry blossom, and they don't stop to see the bumblebees, and they don't stop to admire the gorgeous doggy or listen to the thrush and the robins that sound so beautiful at this time of the year. They're just on their computers, and I do find that is concerning.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I think if we're aware of that, and I think people can practice. You know, recently I know I use my tech a lot. You know, I still have escapism within me. You know, it's a slow habit to get rid of.
It is.
And
Me too.
as soon as I take it away, right, I go through fidgety, boredom, then my mind starts to try and read stuff, interact, or maybe I'll go check this, maybe I'll go check that, and go, no, I'm just going to stay here, and I'm watching the mind do all this stuff, and then eventually the energy starts to drop and starts to settle, and then I notice, oh, the clouds are moving, oh, and then I notice the birds, oh, and then I notice my body feels a bit more heavy and a bit more soft, and I just don't think we realise we're robbing ourselves of the entertainment of life through entertainment. You see,
Yes.
like we've
I love
raised
that.
the bar so high with the
Yes,
level of entertainment,
exactly.
nothing can beat it anymore. But the same way with the dead end, I think we know, watching the programs, that it's not good anymore.
Yeah.
The illusion of control is nonsense. We don't want control, we want surprise. We
Yeah.
want to be like, oh my god, you know, we want those moments of awe and magic, and I feel that we've been given too much control through consumerism. We think we know what we want. We don't, because I promise you, as soon as you go to make something, you've already kind of bummed out by it, because it's hard to explain, but it's like, I don't know if you've ever planned a dinner and you think it's going to be amazing, and then by the time you've eaten it, it's just like, oh, but you love someone else cooking for you. Why? Because it's a surprise.
Yeah.
You just get to enjoy it. There's not all of this, oh, I thought it was going to be like that, oh, I tried to make it really perfect, and, you know, it never comes together properly. You know, we don't actually want that. We just want the surprise of life.
Yes. Yes.
And the authentic.
Letting go and letting spirit, if you will.
Yeah. Let it go and it will come back, and that's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to practice more and more, is operating from abundance, not scarcity. And I think we're living from a lot of scarcity lately. And
Yes.
if you give it away, it comes back.
Yes. If you give it away, it comes back.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. I agree with that. The abundance mindset of believing that we have enough, we are enough, and we're more than enough. But when we think that we aren't, then it just shuts everything down.
Yeah,
That lack.
Yeah, and that's the
Yeah.
energetical belief system, I believe, that the mind creates. I believe the mind and the body are interchangeable. The sensations, you know, the body doesn't change, but the feelings and the whatever goes on. So where's that going? Why is it disappearing? Why some days do I feel great and the other days do I feel empty, you know? And I believe it is. I think belief is the action of energy, and it's only something that I've been thinking about recently that I feel that we need to step into more is working with our energetical fields rather than our physical ones. Which is difficult for me, being I've come from such a rational scientific place that it's been difficult for me to meander into talking about working with energy fields. It's something my mum's spoken about for a long time, and you know, it's been don't know if I agree with that, but the more I research, the more I study myself, the more I look inward, the more I'm kind of finding all the places are kind of talking about the same things. I'm looking at Buddhism, mindfulness, science, biology, spirituality, and they're all kind of saying the same message, you know. And
our body is actually the least important. The spirit, the soul, the mind, the energy, they're all the powers that then allow us to have a body that feels amazing.
Yeah, and I get that, because the body doesn't really change, does it? You know, the body is the body, and it stays as it is, and it's functioning. But those are definitely interchangeable, in my opinion, you know.
Anyway, circling back, you were an alcoholic.
Yes.
And now you're not.
Yes, 4 years sober, and I had a drink on my last birthday, and it was terrible. It was awful.
It's horrible, isn't it?
It was awful. I tried, and I tell you what I tried to do was I tried to get rid of the anxiety. I thought, you know, I'll do what I used to do, which is I'll drink until that switch turns off. The switch did not turn off. There was still this hypervigilant, peripherally aware self-awareness that just wouldn't let me zone in on my energy. And I think whilst that's going on, the gears inside me aren't turning. You know, I am just out here. You know, it's not that I don't work, it's that I'm working on something else, and yeah, it was awful. I woke up in the morning, and I'm a very independent child, but I rang my mum up and said, Mum, you need to come home. you need to come and sit with me, because I felt like it was too much. I just couldn't handle it. I was overloading. I was at my tether, and yeah, it was awful. Yeah.
Oh, I can relate to that feeling because of alcohol and tether, completely anxious, because it doesn't do what it says on the tin.
No.
It doesn't relieve anxiety, it increases it because it suppresses the central nervous system. And we just can't function on it.
No.
Even for days after alcohol, people can't function.
Yes.
It permanently affects neural
I've
pathways.
been told that again and again. Takes people days to start to feel themselves again and feel just naturally at peace and naturally happy a few days after alcohol.
Yeah.
Makes me feel so blessed to have had a father who had an alcohol allergy, so if he drank even half a glass of red wine, he would fall asleep. So he didn't drink at all. Because my dad was a very great dad and I was daddy's little girl, he didn't drink, so I didn't drink. So
my sister doesn't drink because of my drinking. You know,
Because
Is that the middle sister?
Yeah. She saw what it did to me. It robbed her of her brother. Now that's not entirely true, but it is as well. You know, I remember specifically a time where I stepped away. I used to be there for them a lot within the household. You know, I was always trying to remind them that no matter what mum and dad say, you're still loved, you're still cared for. You know, it's not about you. And at a certain point, you know, when I tried to remedy things quite a lot of times with my parents and I was just met with brick walls, I turned to something else, and then I was emotionally disconnected and I pulled away, and she, you know, we've had a therapy session since then, me and her, and she said, yeah, you know, I want my brother back, and I did, I left. Even if I was still there, I left. Admittedly, I did leave quite soon after, and I spent a few years homeless, sofa surfing, not on the streets, but just sofa surfing around, bumming around and drinking and whatnot. But I can tell you, it never really was as good as, you know, it was never that great. You know, it was keeping me busy. You know, it never felt like, you know, I never felt like I was at a party. You know, I didn't feel the fun side of drinking or drugs, to be honest, you know. But I think that's because I was looking for that natural oasis in somewhere where it didn't exist, you know. Yeah.
And now you're off to Thailand.
Yes.
Clean and sober.
Yeah, off to Thailand to continue kind of doing what I'm doing. I want to do, my friend wants to do some form of consultation business with different people, with specific skills, and he wants me to go on and talk about like alternative medicine, spiritualism, personal development, and it's something that I've been working on for a long time. You know, right now I don't feel as conducive as I could be to what I have to offer. You know, like I still feel quite anxious, emotional, and self-aware, but I want to work through that, and working with people does help to work through those problems.
I mean, for me, those feelings have never left. But what I do now is I have the strength and resilience to go, oh, there you are, and move through it.
Move through it is the key point.
Accept that I'm in fear, I'm in anxiety, and go, okay, there you are.
Yeah.
Off we go.
Yeah, and through is the best way, because then I think that's where the belief comes from. As soon as you realise it does come and it does go, the more that it comes and it goes, the more you're able to kind of ride the wave without trying to run away and escape and disappear and hide in a phone or a drink or whatever. Yeah.
Well done, both of you.
Yeah.
Yes, but well done you too, because you've been through your own version of addiction.
I have. Quite different, no substance at all, and it's probably not, today's not the time to talk about it.
Okay.
But in a nutshell, my mother committed suicide when I was quite young. My world completely imploded as a result, and so I became a bulimic. And that stayed with me for a long time, ruining a lot of my life then.
Yeah.
So, and the hardest thing I ever did in my life was to stop throwing up. But I did. And things have kept getting better and better and better and better ever since then. So yeah, there are many forms of addiction, and the reason I think I started, it was to make the feelings go away, make the complete misery, the absolute abject desolation that my fabulous, wonderful mother, who I adored and who adored me, was gone and had chosen to go, had chosen to leave us.
Yeah, that's difficult.
Yeah, that was a
Very
difficult one.
difficult.
But that's for another chat, some other time.
So if we were to summarise in a couple of sentences what we have done, or what Spencer, what you have done to overcome your addictions, what would that be?
Positive perseverance.
Positive perseverance, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, don't expect anyone else to do it for you,
Yes.
and don't work against yourself, and eventually I think you'll make it. It might seem like you're not going to make it at times, and I think the thing is, it's important to remember that realistically you can, and I don't know if some people agree with this, but I can stop playing whenever I want. I don't have to continue this journey, and I think it's important to remember that all of your worries, all of your problems, all of your detriments live here and they stay here. And if you decide to leave this world, they will stay here. So you might as well give it the best shot you've got, because you literally have nothing to lose. You've only got something to gain. And then if it doesn't work out, you've got that whatever. Because the thing is, I think about it because I want rest from this life. Well, the person that's going to rest from this life lives here anyway. So if I leave this life, I'm not going to get the rest I want from this life, because that exists here. So the only way I can get what I truly want, which is to feel nourished, safe, secure, restive, vibrant, abundant, is to have it here. There is no other place I can go and get it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Sounds very wise.
The way that you say it is, it's mind blowing. I love it. I could listen to you all day, but we haven't got all day.
No. So yeah, I mean, briefly, I do want to touch on the tinctures,
Yes.
just because I'd like to just touch on that. So for anyone who wants any supports that are alternative medicines, I sell different blends of Amanita tinctures. I sell a 70-30, which I offer for depression and ADHD, because it has quite a high stimulant blend, and with ADHD, people generally give them an upper to make them come down. It's almost like the 2-ups, like a double negative. Do you see what I mean? Like I think it resonates and collapses it. Whether it brings the body and the mind into both a state of up, so that it can kind of be back on the same playing level rather than fighting each other. Maybe that's it. I offer a 50-50, which I'd like to offer for coming off medications, but also for the benefits of Amanita that aren't psychological. Now, I don't think we've really got time to talk about all of them, but there are absolutely tons of benefits that are nothing to do with mental health. I'll read a couple if you don't mind.
Yes, of course.
It's good for healing hormonal dysfunction, low libido, allergies, asthma, swelling, gingivitis, nail fungus, digestive issues, skin conditions, eczema, psoriasis, recovery from stroke, cardiac arrest, depression, epilepsy, hypertension, insomnia, low appetite, pain relief, rheumatoid arthritis, menstrual pain, migraine, as well as coming off and interrupting addictions such as alcohol, nicotine, opioids, and other narcotics. Now, the good thing about this book is they literally did a study with 3,000 people, and they recorded and done literally. I mean, this speaks to me because I love to see the values and the data. So if someone asks me something I don't know, I've got this to rely on, and I can use my knowledge. But it shows you the balance of how this has affected people and where they've had success, and it's really had profound levels of success. It doesn't work for everyone, which is why it's very important for me that we find an intuitive balance that works. And when I sell this product, I sell it as something that I want you to work with. I can recommend. I have to actually sell it for informative purposes. Like, I can't recommend that you take this personally due to the way that it's regulated publicly. It's not legal, but it is classed as a quote-unquote toxic mushroom, which it isn't at all. You can eat this mushroom raw and you might have slight nausea. That's it. People have been using this mushroom for thousands of years for all sorts of ceremonial benefits. This mushroom is based has links to Santa Claus. Santa Claus came from the Siberian shaman who would come and hang amanitas. They would come in and hang them above the fireplace where you'd have the stockings. The reindeer would be prancing around from eating the amanitas, and that's why they were supposed to be flying. And then it was tied to Saint Nick. So, it's had a lot of history all over the world.
And maybe that's why he's red and white.
Yeah, well, it is. Yeah, exactly. And so the 50-50 I would probably prescribe for the physical benefits that we just discussed. So you get a good balance of both the properties. And then I have the 30-70, which I would suggest for anxiety, or if you just want a bit of a mellow boost. And then the 0 and 100, which I would suggest for sleep, disassociation, body connectivity. Like if you're doing meditation circles, I would suggest this one because it just brings contact back with the body. I'm not sure, because perhaps it just settles the nervous system, because I feel within myself that when I'm anxious, my faculties shut down, my mind shuts down, my nerves shut down, I can't feel my body, and whether this rests, I think it just calms the body so we can feel ourselves again, so we can feel safe, secure, like, oh, this is it. I'm already home. I am here.
That's
I'm
actually
always
what
here,
I'm feeling from
Yeah.
your 4 drops in the
Yeah.
water. I've gone from being in quite a heightened state of anxiety due to conquering a fear and not being, that shortness of breath, to settled.
Yeah,
So
excellent.
it's worked for you.
And present.
Yeah, really
That's
good.
nice.
And able to engage in this conversation without zipping from one thought to the next,
Yeah.
up and down, all over the place like I can be, to just being here.
Yeah, excellent, excellent.
Just one question.
Mm.
I think people who are listening and who may be wanting to get off some pharmaceutical will be wondering, are there withdrawal effects from Amanita?
Right, as far as I can tell, no, not really.
Okay,
And
so
it
that's
doesn't
a big
have
deal.
Yeah, and it doesn't have the same addictive properties. It doesn't. I've been microdosing Amanita for about a year now, and I've found, as I said, my existence to be quite overwhelming, and I just feel like Amanita has just given me a bit of space. It feels like I've been like this for a long time, and now I'm kind of here, and I've just got a bit more breathing room. Things are a bit more padded. I don't feel like, oh God, I need to go home and have a drink. Oh God, I need to have a cigarette. Whatever it might be, I just feel like the walls are a bit more padded. Whatever iceberg of trauma that I'm dealing with, it is just chopped off the top. Whereas normally it felt like I was kind of, hacking away with a spoon, maybe, just little bits. But this is really, I can sense the work it's done, and it sits there and it stays there and it's with me now, and it's a very friendly medicine. It won't do the work for you. It will hold your hand and it will take you so far. It can do that on its own.
Yes.
But if you work with it and use it to support yourself through that work, I think it has infinite potential just to help you and to keep you going. Because I think, as I said, with how we resonate, I think it reminds the nervous system to resonate in a certain way, and it can't fix it, but it can just suggest how that you might want to be again. And then you're like, oh yeah, I remember this feeling.
I'm very glad you gave this analogy, because in my experience, a lot of plants do that. They suggest, they remind you what it could be like, but it's up to you to change.
Yeah, and it's a reminder, and you go, okay, that's available. That is a state that's, even if it's just a trickle, you're like, okay, well, let's work on that. Let's enhance that state and feeling. And then finally, I do have a topical balm which I do sell for pain relief, which is a bit more of a different story, but
it works.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. Yeah,
It
is.
works. It hurt because I'm becoming an old bird. It stops my bunion hurting.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But it
excellent.
also, if I've got neck pain or shoulder pain, I put a little bit, not a lot on, just a tiny bit, and it warms the skin and it gives a little tingle, like a Ralgex or something, but without the smell, and takes the pain away.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm just starting to build a database of people coming back to me with positive results. It's been quite a solo journey until recently. I've been just working on it, but I am having people come back. Like, I'm having people. Just recently got a message from a guy in London saying, thank you so much. I've just managed to half my medication dose. I'm feeling generally more energized. I'm exercising again for the first time in a year and a half. His wife's messaging me saying, thank you, can I get some for me, for my dad, with this and that. And it's got such a wide variety of applications that, I've barely scratched the surface. I'm good at talking about the mental health, but the physical side, as you said, with the pain stuff, I've not experimented with that. And it's good to hear people, because I want people to have belief in plants again, because I think that's important. And I think we have lost our belief, because they're not as powerful as pharmaceuticals in the instant relief category, I don't believe. And I think we've lost belief that these plants hold as much power as they do. And I think if we can really summon that energy and bring it together, that it does work. I think belief and placebo is part of it, because I think placebo is a bad word for it. Placebo is the belief. Is the belief that it will help and it will get better, which starts the energetical movement and the change, and you agree to work with it, and you agree, okay, maybe I'm ready, and that starts the gears moving again, and we can really start to heal.
Medication is your friend coming off?
Antidepressants, I don't know which one, but he's been just, it's just him and his wife contacted me, and he's just been in a consistent state of just mundane existence. He's aware, it's like when I was aware on the alcohol. You're aware that it's not working, you're aware, but you're like, well, as long as it gets me through tomorrow, which is funny enough why my brand's called Life After Tomorrow, because it's like, what are you going to do after you get to there? Well, there's always tomorrow, but are we going to keep going round and round and day after day? And so I'm glad, and it feels nourishing, and it feels enjoyable to take, and I really hope that people can get the best out of it. It's really nice to have something to offer that works, because that's been a lot of the big bit for me, was just finding something that really works, finding something that actually does something, because it's been a long journey of a lot of dead ends.
Clearly they worked well enough for you to want to research the mushroom more and actually then make products.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's already saying a lot.
And I know there's a lot further to go. There's a lot more passion to come. There's a lot more, just oomph to go behind it. And this is just buds. This is just sprouts at the beginning that I just keep watering, and I'm really hoping that things, take off from here.
So watch this space.
Yes. So, have we got anything else that we wanted to add?
No, I don't know. I think I'm pretty talked out. I don't feel there's anything that I go away and I feel couldn't have been said. So yeah.
I think this has been really interesting.
Yeah, really interesting.
And very motivating as well.
Yes.
Good.
So thanks.
Yeah, really motivating, and it really connects with what we've been saying about SSRIs and alcohol. You've brought this together beautifully.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
So, if you like what we do, like and subscribe. If you don't like what we do, leave a comment. We'll try and help you work through it. And maybe some of Spencer's lovely mushrooms can as well. We'll put a link below so you can buy the mushrooms directly from Spencer, or tinctures. Contact him, talk to him. How will you be contactable in Thailand?
So I'm reprinting some business cards, but I do have a website.
Yeah.
I do orders through email currently. I can't just do straight up orders of the website, but I prefer people contact me because I like to talk to people. I'm very open about discussing what's going on with them, what I think would be best, but also not just pushing the medicine, also discussing habits, lifestyle changes. So I can get some background on them, so I can really, so the price kind of comes with it. I sell them currently at £40 a bottle, but that comes with direct contact through me via, which will be WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, email, and I enjoy talking about it, so I'm happy to receive anyone that's interested.
Fantastic. Well, I will be buying a bottle because I am blown away by the effects. I was a little bit scared about trying it because I'm always a little bit scared of everything. And I'm also really sensitive, as you remembered. So I took a tiny little dose, feel better.
Excellent, yeah.
Great.
I'm really glad.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Spencer.
You're
Really
welcome.
interesting, Spencer. It's been amazing.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for watching and listening to Spencer's Learn to Speak, Lucy, wisdom. Because it's not just women that are wise, it's also Spencer.
Yes, thank you.
Bye for now.